Hi, I'm John,
And I'm Andrew.
and welcome to episode 9 of the Nerdborne podcast. It's worth pointing out that we're kind of doing a bit of a double feature today, and it might actually work out to be a triple feature, but I digress. What we wanted to talk about for this episode is kind of, what we've been doing with 2020 in the nerd sphere of things, because I mean, in light of this pandemic, uh, we've a lot of people have been stuck at home. A lot of people have been, engaging other hobbies and whatnot. But we're nerd born, so of course,
Yes.
me and Andrew, what have we been doing with all that time? Playing games and doing nerdy shit. So we figured, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some games we've been playing. We'll talk about, shows or some other stuff we've not been going on about. But so Andrew, what's been what's been going on? What are you into?
That's a really good introduction there, man. I don't know how I'm gonna top that. No, I think that's one of the very few things that 2020 did do is that it helped people discover some of their inner nerd because they
Hmm.
didn't really have anything better to do. I'm sure a lot of people have gotten into TV show like anime or comics or video games because of this pandemic. I mean, I've always personally been into it, so like when the entire country shut down, and everybody's freaking out. Like everybody's like, "Oh my god, what we're gonna do?" Gamers were like, we were born for this shit." Like you're gonna keep me inside my house for 2 weeks, and what do you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna fucking play video games that entire
It's
time.
funny when when the first lockdown orders and stuff came out and people are freaking out and all the memes you saw for in like gamer spaces were like, I was made for this.
Yes. For real, that's the truth. I remember when the first lockdown first hit. One of the games that I got into, like, well, I think it's fair to point out that a lot of these games that me and John were probably talking about are games or nerd, what the fuck ever.
Mm.
That none of them probably didn't come out in 2020, but we experienced them in this year. So we're
Mm.
talking from our perspective, you know what I mean? So if you, just in case we say something, you're like, that came out this, like, shut the fuck up, sit down, go away. All right.
This isn't
For
talking
when the
about
lockdown.
things that happened in 2020. This is talking about things we did in 2020.
Exactly. There you go. But one of the when the lockdown first hit, one game that I ended up picking up because it was on sale was Divinity Original Sin 2.
Yeah.
This it was a game that's been on like my nerd list for like the longest time, but obviously time's always a fucking factor, you know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
So I've never really had time to like sit down and play it. But I literally like didn't have any idea. Like, I've never played any of those like platform RPGs. Like I have, but just like not that really much experience into it. And
CRPGs. That's what he's talking about.
CRP. Oh yeah, CRPGs. Thank you, John.
Mm.
But I just never really had that much experience into them, and so I went into it with like an open mind, and I just like literally went from 0 hours into it to the next thing I know, I've had 300 plus. Like I would like absolutely like for 2 weeks straight, dude. I did nothing but play fucking Divinity Original Sin 2. I was absolutely obsessed with that fucking game.
And it's worth pointing out for a lot longer than that, that was what he did. Like I would, I'd get on the computer and I'd pull up Discord and all I see is Andrew Divinity 2 Original Sin for like fucking months. Like I have never seen a person lose their life to a game the way he lost his life to Divinity.
Oh my god, but dude, it's such a fucking masterpiece of a game, man. Like I
Mm.
did, like I almost shoot myself in the foot for not playing it like a long time ago. You know, but it's still like that was my like first start of 2020 right there. It's pretty much just like Divinity original. There ain't nothing really bad I could say about the game. I love it.
Yeah, it is an incredibly well put together and very enjoyable game, and it's one of those games that I kind of always want to go back to, but I end up, getting into something else, and it's just sort of yeah,
Mhm. Well, but even same here. There's still builds I want to do in that game, and I still haven't gone back to them. But I am. That's 100%. Like
oh yeah,
the game is just so massive. It's like one of those truly unique games where you make decisions and you feel like those decisions really fucking matter. Like it's not like it's not like if we were playing fucking Skyrim and you make a fucking decision, you're like, oh, this ain't really gonna matter. You like in Divinity Original Sin 2, when you're playing it, you're like, oh shit, what do I do here?
hmm,
You know what I mean? Like those, it feels like those decisions that you make really alters the game in a huge way.
yeah.
Mm.
Uh, it's Worth pointing out, like, and I've seen this in a lot of reviews, and it is honestly true. I swear to God, you could get 40 hours on just the starting island, like the basically
Yeah,
the fucking tutorial area. And it's worth pointing out that's not 40 hours of tutorializing bullshit. That's like eh, it's real fucking content.
it's a whole game within itself.
Yeah.
It literally is like every single playthrough I've done through that game, I've put around about 30 to 35 hours just on that island because I do everything.
Mm.
By the time I get to Alexander, I make sure my character's OP as fuck 'cause I can't stand that cocksucker. God, he whooped my ass. Oh my god, did he whoop my ass for so long on that when I first played through, dude? Like for literally like a day. I'm not even like over exaggerating, like literally for like 24 hours. Like that motherfucker just whooped my ass, dude. I was never been so determined to beat a fucking character in all my life. Yeah, I could not fucking stand it. But that's what's awesome about that game is how massive it is, man. And
Mm.
like just like how you said, just on the tutorial island, like you have 3 more islands to go to after that. Like you
Yeah.
don't even know it. By the time you're done with that island, you're like, that's not the end of the game.
It's like, oh, and especially it plays itself off well, is because like the first island, that's it. It's self-contained, and yeah, your decisions do arc out into the broader game on the whole. But like there's just a self-contained, satisfying story right there. Uh,
Yeah.
just on the fucking tutorial island, and it's worth pointing out that every island after that is the same. Like it's almost like it's four games packed into one.
Yeah, it really is. Like even the next island you go to after you leave what the prison
Hmm.
camp, like that island's even twice as big as the fucking first one. And it's like every little side mission characters have its own unique little storyline into them, and like they're really good fucking storylines. It's not like they just slap together some fucking storylines to give you some side shit to do. Like you could tell that they put a good amount of concentration on how these storylines will play out. It's just on the side quest, not alone the main.
And I'd like to bring something up. I've only done one playthrough of Divinity 2, and my playtime on Steam is listed at 131 hours.
Those are rookie numbers, man. You got to bump those numbers up.
Shh.
Oh, so your build.
I went with a Spark Mage, which was
Ah,
it's like a melee mage hybrid where
yeah.
you do or when you attack, your attack cleaves and then fire bounces between three other targets. I'm sorry, it's been so long that
Yeah.
I
Oh
can't
no, you're
really remember, but yeah,
spell sword.
yeah.
Yeah, you want it with a spell sword, but which is the really tempting for any like Star Wars fans. Like, who doesn't want to shoot lightning shit? You know what I mean?
Well,
I like that's what's that?
it's funny you bring that up because my inspiration for that was not Star Wars, but Final Fantasy actually.
Huh.
Red Mage.
Yeah, I could see that totally. Yeah, that's a fun build to run with too. I've pretty
Mm,
much done almost every build. I think there's really only like 2 pure builds that I haven't done, but I've done like all the hybrids. Like I've done just about any build you could like summoner, rogue.
mm.
I've done one of my favorites, which is pretty much the Death Knight, which you just do necromancy build with the
Oh,
two
okay.
handed. Oh, it's so OP, dude. Like those two-handed attacks are strong, but it gives you that same health that you just took away. So it's hard, especially if you're running in like Lone Wolf.
Mm.
It's it's hard to lose in that game. I wish I knew that build would have just started. And they really make you like you have to be dedicated to your builds on it. That's one of the reasons why I love Divinity 2. And I did not know that going in playing this game. Because like I put my like I'm just used to RPGs as kind of like leveling out all my level ups, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
whatever experience I get, I kind of like would even them out. Um Depending on like obviously when I'm playing like Dark Souls or something like that, but most RPGs I play I usually do that just because I like to have a round character. Like
Yeah.
say if you're playing whatever Assassin's Creed or what the fuck ever. But I didn't know that you had to be like very decisive on what build that you wanted to Divinity 2, or else you're not going to do any damage to any of the characters until like after like 80 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to learn the hard way. I'm getting mollywop left and right, and I'm like, I don't get what I'm doing wrong, and I had to do some research into it, and then I'm like, oh, I've been doing it wrong the entire time.
Divinity is definitely it's good as like as a CRPG and as a party focused RPG because that's it. You can't have like the R character that just does fucking everything. You have to build a team.
Yeah. Well, depending. I mean, you do have those lone wolf builds, which
Well,
gives you all double the APs and also gives you double all the stat points.
mm, well,
So
okay,
you can
Lone
do
Wolf.
like a yeah, you can do like a lone wolf build, and just like you can only have two people in your party if you do that. So you can choose like one of the other characters, or do a mercenary, whatever the fuck you want to do, or have somebody jump in.
Right.
But if you're not planning it, if you want to get like, if you really want to get like the full experience of Divinity 2, play it with the four people,
Yeah.
because each and every one of those characters have like a dope ass storyline to 'em.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like Fane, I fucking love Fane. He's like the most awesome fucking character, dude. Like he's just so like laid back, but like very smart and just kind of hates humans. Like I can kind of relate to him in that way. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So like he's got like an awesome story and what they all do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if you want the full experience of Divinity 2, play with four people.
And it's worth pointing out that uh the pre-made characters are actually really good too. Like a lot of CRPGs, the pre-made character it's a story, sure, it's fine, but in Divinity, and coincidentally, this is something I was thinking about. You can get kind of the Western, or rather the Eastern RPG feel from playing one of the pre-made characters, uh, and still, have the goodness of the Western RPG, where you
Mm.
pick fucking everything.
Yeah, I don't have that much experience in CRPGs, so I can't really like comment too much on that. Like it's funny, like I said beginning of this, I didn't have like a lot of experience playing like the CRPGs, and like Divinity 2, I think has ruined them for me, because I've tried. You know, I tried going and play like Pillars of Eternity. I've tried playing like Baldur's Gate. Like I tried to get into others, but like I think Divinity 2 has ruined him for me. Like I just, I'm
You're
like,
spoiled now.
I can't do this, but Divinity you can. You know what I mean? It's just like it's kind of
It's like,
ruined me in a way.
now I'm slumming it.
Yes. I'm still trying. Like Baldur's Gate 3 isn't bad so far, like but they need to patch that game up like a motherfucker. um,
I'd like to get Baldur's Gate 3, but I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm just gonna wait like till 21, or 2021, 2022, and
yeah,
try it then. Like
that'd be a
let them
smart.
actually finish the game before I give them my money. But that's a whole other take a drink future podcast episode.
Yeah. All right. Now, what about what's a game that you like? A game that first stands out when at the beginning of 2020 when we went to lockdown? What were you playing?
The first game that I started playing when the lockdowns first hit was Neo 2, actually.
Ah, yes.
Uh, Yeah, well, I mean, the podcast is called Nerdborne for a reason, and I love my Souls likes. Um, and I liked the first Neo because I thought it was kind of an interesting mix of like the technical complexity of something like Devil May Cry. Yeah, I mentioned it, and the technical complexity of Devil May Cry, but with good Souls combat. And I put probably a good 100 hours into that game. I've done every new game plus mode that was available. I have a character that's like level 300 or some shit like that. So I put some work into it, and I definitely enjoyed it. And it's one of those games that's that I enjoy the customization. I enjoy the variety of builds that you can make. All of the weapons they handle, they're unique. They handle differently. Um, and once you start getting up to broken high levels where you can just you can build every weapon individually.
Yeah.
Um, it's fun to just be like, you know what? Okay, I've been using, say, a sword and a tonfa for a long time now. Let me switch it up. Let me get the Kusari Gama and, a spear or some shit like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's very versatile in that aspect.
Mhm.
I kind of like your analogy that it's kind of like the Devil May Cry in Dark Souls because that kind of fits it. It's like
Uh,
it's a really perfect analogy for it. I don't Neo one like I liked that game, um, but I
mhm.
didn't like it at this. It's the first one was one I could like take or leave. Like
Right.
if it's on, you know what I mean? If it's on sale for like $10, whatever, I'll buy it and play it. But it's not something I'm going out of my way to play. I thought Neo 2 was fucking like 10 times better than the first one.
Yeah.
Um, I thought the
And
customization was better. I thought the storyline was better. I thought the fucking even the combat was so addictive in that game because not only was it challenging, it was really fun.
and it's worth pointing out that Neo 2 uh, uh, uh okay, let me back up several steps. Uh There's a game critic out there. Many of people may have heard of him. Yahtzee Croshaw does the show Zero Punctuation on YouTube. Um, but he's is known for saying that a good sequel should, or a good sequel jumps off from the first game, and a bad sequel wallows in it. And I really think that Neo 2 took what was laid down in Neo 1 and really expanded and jumped off from it. It's not just
Oh yeah.
here's Neo, but again, it's um, a very solid game on its own right, while being a very successful successor to Neo 2, or rather to
Yeah.
Neo.
I thought the game was wonderful. I put over like 200 hours into it or something like that. Like me
Hmm.
and you were playing it together when it first came out. I remember I got into like the final boss area and I was just getting my ass whipped and I needed you to come save me. Yeah, I remember when that boulder just absolutely fucking wrecked me.
No, yeah, I saw it coming
Motherfucker
too.
got
Like I didn't say anything when we were playing the level. I knew what was gonna happen, and I didn't say anything because I just wanted to watch you get ranched.
He did, dude. I swear to God, he like literally sat down and like went around a little corner and just stood there. And I'm like, huh, maybe I have to walk through this area. And I walk up the fucking walkway and I just get wrecked. And then what does fucking John send me right when that happens? Right on the PlayStation Network, he writes a message me, "Get wrecked, son." Well, yeah. Let's stop talking about that because it's hurting my feelings now.
Oh, that was that was
No,
that was
what's
very
that?
delicious and vindicating, and I'm glad I got to have that moment.
Yes, yes, I will find a way to pay you back. But
Well,
anyway, I'm gonna pick up Elden Ring first. I'm gonna fucking put like 200 hours into that game and then fucking launch it with you or some shit.
probably.
Yeah. So well, anyway, yeah, I honestly Neo 2 was actually my pick for Game of the Year. Um,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people hopped on that Ghost of Tsushima train and like The Last of Us Part 2. I've played Last of Us Part 2. I haven't played Ghost of Tsushima. I've seen gameplay of it, but and I've seen like a little the cutscenes and shit like that. But obviously, I still can't speak. I don't know. I thought Neo 2 should have had Game of the Year. That's just my opinion. I thought it was the best game that's came out this year.
Yeah. And there's something almost appealingly retro about Neo 2. That's it. It's just, yeah, they came out with, DLC and battle passes, or season passes and shit like that. But in my mind, Neo 2 is just, here's a game. Have fun. There's not any extraneous bullshit. There's no, fucking microtransactions popping up every 5 minutes trying to guilt you, out of more shit in your wallet. It's just, that's it. Have or Here's a game. Have fun.
Yep.
And I'm
And
sad that the
it's got
industry
a
has
really
gotten to that point. What's that?
yeah. And it's also got a really addictive gameplay
Yeah.
because like, they make the weapons fun. Like
Yeah.
the weapons are fun to use. Like the dual swords, like they're just great. Like it lets you use whatever kind of play style you want. It does not like if you play like this. Oh, I think the Tumfu, I think they're kind of like broken, but beyond
Oh yeah.
that, they're all seemingly pretty easy. They all have like their own different aspects to it too. Like if you're running with a heavy sword, like you're gonna want to stagger like the enemies. If you're running with like but it gives you like the postures too are pretty dope because it
Oh
gives you
yeah.
like, hey, you want to have some dual swords and you want to hit with power, you can. Or if you want to be fast, you can have that. Or if you want to be in between, so on and so forth.
And this is something that doesn't get brought up a whole lot, but there's a particular element of Neo and or Neo 2 and even Neo did this really well. Um, the user interface for like the menus and whatnot is just oh it's buttery smooth. It's so easy to get through your menus, sort your inventories, which is important because it's a Diablo style game. But
Yeah.
I've been through, I played a lot of games where the menu system was this confusing, slow, just irritating to get through. And Neo, it's just sort of like, okay, you need to do some shit in the menus, bing, bang, boom, done. And
Yeah.
uh, if you're into game design, uh, I would say definitely look at Neo 2's menus and the user interface and just see how that all works because it was refreshing to just be able to do the things I needed to do in the menu without, having to go through a bunch of extraneous bullshit.
That is very true. That's not even something I thought about it. That I didn't even really realize until you just said it. Like that is very true. That is something that is very refreshing. Being able to change weapons fast, your inventory, and so on and so forth, because they have that Diablo reward system into it,
Yeah.
which is kind of it's kind of annoying at times. But it's you know what I mean. You go to if you go play like a game like Dark Souls, and then you go to play Neo or Neo 2, you're kind of like, wow, I'm not used to all these weapons.
Hmm.
I'm just getting like armor and swords just from killing like random enemies. You're just not really used to that, you know.
Yeah.
So you kind of makes you feel like you're getting a lot more out of it than you actually are.
Yeah, it's that's like that's one of those things that I never see anybody actually bring up, but that's it.
Mhm.
It was just so easy to do things in Neo's or to they put time and effort into the menu system so that way you could get through it easily and get back to killing things.
Yeah.
And I, for one, appreciate that. Whoever did the UIX on Neo 2, thank you, sir or ma'am. Your efforts are recognized and appreciated.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up. Also, the thing I like about it too is like how the combat system's like so fluid and
Mm,
like pressing like making sure you press R1 to get your stamina back. Like it's a combo system that you have to learn, but once you learn it and you get it down, you kind of makes you feel like you're more into it. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
who doesn't love fluid combos? You know?
and it does something um, for player engagement. Like and this is something I do. Like say, in a Dark Souls game where after, I've done however much stamina's worth of hitting things that I'm comfortable with, I run away and I'm just spending a couple of seconds like, okay, let me get my stamina back, let me get my stamina back, and then we get back into the fight. Whereas
Yeah.
with Neo, that's it, you're much more active. You're backing away, you're like, okay, now I key pulse here, I can get back into it. No, I need to, save my stamina for dodging. Like it's a lot more engaging.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, I agree.
I'm going to say something controversial here. Uh, as much as Dark Souls combat might be more polished, I do actually think Neo, and specifically Neo 2, is just a lot more fun to play.
Hmm.
But we did
Um,
the debate episode, so I'll move on.
I know. I think Neotune was really a lot of fun. Like I said, it was a really addictive play style for me.
Yeah.
Like it was unique. It was challenging. It was fun to do. You know what I mean? And it still had that Souls-like aspect into it, and that it was difficult. Like any
Hmm.
games like that are just
Oh
fun
yeah.
to play. You know what I mean? There's there's one game I do want to talk about, like a very minor. Like I don't want to like it's not really that big of a discussion, but
Hmm.
I just feel like I need to talk about this real quick because it's like such big on the internet, and like I personally played this game. I want to talk about Cyberpunk 2077.
All right.
Okay, I've got the game. I've
Okay.
played the game. I understand that they're having like a lot of issues with the PS4s and the Xbox One X or whatever
Hmm.
not performing well on them. I think people just need to stop being little bitches. Um, I think people. I think the people. This game wasn't meant to be the past gen, man. Like so many things have happened this year with like the lockdowns and everything like that. Like for people thinking that this was, they kept rushing the people to put this game out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What I think with everything mixed into it, like the way the game came out, it's a like I don't. I don't think Cyberpunk is by any means like the greatest game I've played this year or anything like that, but it's still a pretty fucking cool game. Like
Hmm.
it's fun. It's got good graphics. Got a good RPG element to it. It's got a good storyline. I mean, it's glitchy here and there when I run it on my PC, but like honestly, it's not like if you played fucking Skyrim back in the day. I don't want you and you say you love Skyrim. I don't want you to hear about the fucking glitches in Cyberpunk because Skyrim was 10 times worse or any fucking Fallout games, or like go on and put like EA or whatever, put your fucking like big name that you want up there. They all have those problems. Ubisoft, like so on and so forth. List is fucking endless. So like that argument to me is like fucking kaput. Like now I can understand why PS4 players and Xbox players are upset because it's not running good on their console. But you have to understand this year's just been fucking shit. Like these people got shut down for like fucking months. They didn't know when they're gonna go back to work on this fucking thing. You know what I mean? And they
Hmm.
still were able to get it out in time, somewhat. So I don't know. I just felt like I needed to say that.
They're like now personally, when it comes to Cyberpunk 2070 or 2077,
Mhm.
I have a lot of issues, and uh, I won't get into. I would like to point out that I haven't played the game. Honestly, I don't intend on playing it or getting it. Um, like case in point, Andrew bought me Skyrim for my birthday, and because we constantly talked about it. He's constantly, oh, you need to play Skyrim. Oh, you need to play Skyrim, and I played Skyrim, and it's not for me. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it. It's just it's not my style. So there's that. But
You know,
CD Project Red,
it's fair to point out you're like that with a lot of shit.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Like if you
I'm
talk,
eclectic.
well, yeah, if I was gonna go and talk to 100 RPG players, I've been playing RPGs for a long, long time, and I happen to mention Persona 5. I'm thinking about 80% of them motherfuckers gonna be, that's a terrific game. You're the lower 20% that just can't stand the game.
Yeah, and that's it. It's just that's it. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's just not for me.
I get it.
Uh,
You know,
but I would like
but
to just
yeah,
point out that CD Projekt Red with Cyberpunk 27 did a lot of bad things, and they uh, told a lot of lies when it came to the game. If anyone here is a fan of Jim Sterling on the Jimquisition, you'll probably know a little bit of what I'm talking about. But they sold the game on a lie. Um, People are rightly upset or people are rightly upset at the fact that the game is barely functional on consoles. And as you mentioned, Andrew, that if you play Skyrim or Fallout, you should be used to that. Uh, I don't think that's acceptable from Bethesda or for yeah from Bethesda or any uh, game really. You should release a working product, but that's future podcast episode. Take a
I
drink.
mean, I can't argue against it. I mean, why would I? Like, I get it. Like, you know what I mean? I do understand that you shouldn't accept an unfinished product.
Mm,
I am like, I'm the number one hater when it comes to DLCs. They bother the fuck out of me.
right.
I go out and I pay $60 for a fucking game, then you add a bunch of fucking content to this game that's so fucking much. Like, why didn't it just give us the fucking shit? I already bought the fucking game. You're gonna make me buy it again? Like, I find it irritating. So believe me, I'm not like I'm defending it as an aspect that it's just been a fucking crazy year. And the only
Yeah.
people that are really having any issues with this game are on PS4. Like, it works fine on PS5s, it works fine on the new Xboxes, it works fine on PC. It's just a P like I think people are just fucking pissed off because they're trapped in like the house all fucking year.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's not something I really like thought that we needed to dive into. I just felt like I needed to say it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's been 2020. We don't need to talk about that. Everybody who's alive right now knows what the fuck's going on.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I would say Cyberpunk 2077 should not have released on PS4 and whatnot. Like, yeah, it would have been shitty to have to go out and get a PS5 for these games, but at like I don't know. CD Projekt Red has lost a lot of their good name because of the launch of Cyberpunk 2077, and was it worth it? That's a good
Huh.
question.
Hey, Witcher 3 had a lot of fucking problems when it first came out, but not a lot of people regard it as the best game ever.
Um,
So
eh,
there's that.
that is
I
a
think
very nuanced conversation.
I think there's something. I think I don't know. I want to say about a year down the line, after
Mm,
they've done a bunch of patches, probably added some DLC content, just like basically what they did with Witcher 3. I think
mm,
people are going to be hopping on the bandwagon of Cyberpunk in about a year's time. I think
mm.
Cyberpunk has the potential of probably being one of the best first person RPGs out there.
No, well, that's definitely a conversation for future us to have.
Uh, Apparently, and for future Andrew, you're right. I'm just
Mm,
letting you know right
mm.
now.
Well, okay, you heard it here. He's calling a shot.
Yep, 3-pointer. All right, what's something else that you played or some fucking shit for 2020? Let's talk about good aspects of 2020.
Good aspects. Um, Now I actually started playing this in 2019. Uh, Actually, no, I think I've only been, or I think it might have been 2019, it might have been 2020, but there is a game that has taken up a good portion of my gaming time and whatnot, and it's a card game actually. It's done by an indie studio. You guys may probably haven't heard of it, and Andrew, I think we've only briefly discussed it, but that is the Eternal card game.
Huh.
It's a card game in the vein of Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone or what, varieties of those. Um,
Um,
and if you're into things like that, it's a solid game. There or they have regular updates for new cards and stuff like that. The decks can do some pretty interesting and broken things. I haven't found an infinite combo yet, uh, but that's it. It's fun to play. And I would also like to shout out Direwolf Digital that for their it's a free to play game, and uh their business model is actually very consumer friendly. Like we're talking, and we've talked about this briefly. Their free to play business model is Warframe levels of good.
huh.
Um, Case in point, every day when you do your first PvP match, if you or let me break it down. Your every day you can get a free pack, which is 12 cards, which is one guaranteed or rare, three guaranteed uncommons, and then eight or eight commons. Now that rare has a chance to be a legendary. Um, if you spend money, the prices are pretty reasonable. It's like $30 to get a box of 32 packs. So you're looking at about $1 a pack. And if you buy a box, you're guaranteed three legendaries out of that box. And they just kind of throw free packs all over the place. Win a PvP match, get a pack. Uh, Advance through the single player modes, get a plaque. Win, in draft or limited formats, get a pack, and multiple packs in that case often. Everything in the game you can buy with in-game currency. You don't have to pay any real money to get the campaigns, to get some of those cards. Um, yeah, it's a very consumer-friendly business model, and it's part of the reason why I have continued to keep playing it. And it's just
Well,
it's fun.
how do what's the card game like for somebody like that's never played it or anything like that, aka me?
Okay. So, you've never touched like Magic the Gathering, have you?
A little bit.
Oh,
Not that I didn't like get into it like I did like Pokemon when I was a kid, but
okay.
you know, I played a little bit of Magic the Gathering. I've obviously played like the Pokemon card game with
Hmm.
you.
Oh, yeah.
Gwent.
Okay, so here is the very simple breakdown. Okay, so you have, let's just say, or here, yeah, I'm trying to con- think of this and condense in my mind. Okay, so you have uh, a bunch of different types of cards, and the ones just to keep things Simple, we're going to talk about power cards, creature cards, spell cards, and attachment cards. Now,
Mm.
your power cards, for anyone who's played MTG, these are your mana for the Pokemon card game. These are the energy that you attach to your Pokemon. You play one power card a turn unless you don't, or unless you have something that says you can play more. Anyway, you play power cards, and then you can play units, spells, or attachments using that power. So, okay, you have a creature that costs two. Played. You're on turn two. You've played two power. You can play that creature. Now, the object of the game: kill your opponent by either uh, reducing their life total down to zero or making them run out of cards in their deck. Those are the two main win conditions. Um,
Okay.
your units can attack your opponent, and they can also block your opponent's units if they haven't attacked, except if they have endurance. But anyway, now you have spells which do things. You have spells that are like, okay, pay one mana to deal three damage to something. Pay, three mana to draw three or to draw two cards. Uh, and then you have attachments which do things like, okay, you have one more power than the amount of power cards you played, or you can attach certain things to a unit. So let's say you have a unit that has two health or two attack, two health, and you put a sword on it that has two health and two attack. Now that unit is a four, or four attack, four health, um, stuff like that, and that's it. The object of the game is to beat your opponents, or to make that's it, make your opponent's health go down to zero, or uh, run them out of cards. And there are a lot of interesting ways you can do that. For anyone who's in the know, uh, one of the decks that's running around in the meta is called Deco's Ruin, which whenever an opponent draws an additional card, uh, they take one damage and you gain one life. So, you turn your opponent's card draw against them, and then force them to draw a bunch of cards. Or, mill decks are always a thing. Decks that you're not trying to kill the opponent's health total, you're trying to make them run out of cards. And as far as, anyone who knows card games in general, aggro decks are are successful. Control decks are successful, and there are some interesting win conditions that you can achieve, and in decks that you can make. Like I have a control deck where my finisher is not an actual unit; it's a thing called a relic weapon, which lets you, the player, attack things. It basically turns you into a unit.
Okay.
But that's it. There's a lot of interesting synergies and strategies and things can do. The free to play model is, again, it's free to play. I'll just put it out that way. You don't have to spend a dime on it, and it's one of those games. I spent money on it because I wanted to support the developers.
Right. I can understand that, like especially free to play. Obviously, it's going to have to give it a try.
Oh yeah. If
I
you're
mean,
into card games, it's definitely worth checking out. And if you try or want to check it out, Andrew, let me know. I'll give you a refer a friend code. I get more shit for recruiting people.
ooh, lucky me.
Mm,
Actually, yeah, I might give that a try. I mean, I'm not like I wouldn't say I'm like huge into card games, but at the same time, I like them. They're
mm.
fun. You know what I mean. I got into the card game in Final Fantasy VIII.
Oh yeah.
I obviously I'm one of those players in Witcher 3 that put countless hours into Gwent. Like,
Mm.
I find myself playing Gwent more than I do anything else in that game. So yeah, I might have to give that a download and give it a try.
Yeah, and that's it. It's free to play. You don't have to put a dime into it. The most you have to do is, get through the tutorial, and then after that, uh, yeah, you're good to go.
Oh yeah, I'll have to give it a try. Fuck.
But how about
Oh,
you? What's something else you've experienced in 2020?
um, I don't know. There's obviously spent so much fucking time inside this shit, just like most people. Like there's a lot of things that pop out for me. One thing that I did switch to is not. I mean, I switched to one thing that I did experience in 2020 that I haven't my entire life. Up until 2020, I've always been a console gamer. I've always played PlayStation. I had an Xbox 360 briefly until I got the Red Ring of Death, and then I went
Mm,
running back to PlayStation.
mm,
So I've been basically playing all my gaming experiences of basically Nintendo and PlayStation all the way up until about 2020, and I think it was pretty much you that pretty much convinced. I don't know if necessarily convinced, but I just remember asking you, "Should I switch over to PC?" You're like, "Dude, just do it."
mm.
And I went out and got myself a PC, and I'm like, that's the only thing I game on anymore. Like, I will literally only be playing PlayStation for exclusives. Beyond that, everything is going to be PC. Like, I am like obsessed with my PC. I love it. Like, I always thought that the mouse and keyboard was like weird compared to the controller. Now I prefer the mouse and keyboard. The only games I really jump back for the controller for is like Dark Souls or something like that. But like
Mm.
basically everything else is fucking mouse and keyboard.
Uh, I think it's worth pointing out that most games benefit from basically just being able to point and click at something. Like when you
Yes.
get down right to it. Now, like I wouldn't want to try and play a game like Neo or Devil May Cry or anything like that on keyboard. Um, but by the
Uh,
by, a lot of games are just simpler by having more buttons and having a mouse.
Dude, Devil May Cry might be actually interesting. Well, that'll be interesting there. I mean, I might be willing to give that a try, but like for the most part, yeah, I 100% agree with you. Especially like obviously we are just talking about Divinity Sin 2, Original Sin 2. I
Mm.
could imagine playing that on the motherfucking console. Like that would drive me insane. That's so many down arrows.
Oh God.
Like instead of just like pointing and clicking, you're like down, 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 X over. Like fuck
Mm.
that.
20% of the fight would be just trying to select what you want to do,
Exactly. Like we're sitting here, you talking about like 120 hours in your first playthrough. Like motherfuckers are taking 300 hours just to fight
just to get through
on their
menus and
first.
shit.
It's all clicks. I like that. But yeah, obviously the big one too is like first person shooters. Like
Oh yeah.
I'm not a huge first person shooter fan like most. I know like when you go on like say if you were to jump on like whatever social media or what the fuck ever, or if you were to ask celebrities what to play, majority of it is gonna be like first person shooter, like Call of Duty or what the fuck ever.
Mm.
I get it. I find the games fun. I play Call of Duty. I play games like Destiny too. I think they're fun. But they just run their course for me at a certain point. You know
All
what I mean?
right.
Like it's like action packed and I like it. It's fun, but after a while, I'm like, okay, I need my RPG. I need something like to get like really synced into.
Something with some
Obviously, if
substance.
I would, yeah, obviously on the computer though, the fucking first person shooter, that's like playing this shit on easy mode.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I'll go on play Call of Duty. Call of Duty Cold War, that has crossplay,
Mm.
and it says right there, like when you're in like the before you're about to start the match, it'll say if they're playing on PlayStation, Xbox, or if they're playing it through BattleNet, which
Ah.
is which is the thing that Cold War runs through. And every single time I hop on there, I'm constantly seeing console players, and I constantly kick their ass.
Mm.
The reason why I'm kicking their asses is because I don't think I'm necessarily better at the game. It's just because pointing and clicking to shoot is just 10 times fucking easier.
Yeah.
I get there quick. You know what I mean? I aim better. It's easier to aim. Like
Mm.
playing like I'll never play like any first person shooter on console ever again.
Yeah.
That's 100% guaranteed. Like, but at the same time, like I said, I'm not that huge of a first person shooter fan. Like, if you were to come up to me and ask me, like, well, what games make you a gamer? Like, there would be no first person shooter on that list.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So,
Uh,
what?
no, no, that's it. What we enjoy in games is an incredibly subjective experience, and yeah,
Yes.
you are if you play games, you are a gamer.
Oh yeah, I no, I think that. Like, I didn't mean it that way
Mm,
whatsoever. What all I meant is that what makes me a gamer. I'm
oh yeah.
talking from my point of perspective,
Eh,
and my own personal taste. That's all. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not downing anybody that plays. The only people that I might down are Fortnite players.
eh,
Like I might take a few jabs at them, but beyond that, no. And
mm,
also, mobile gaming isn't gaming. Get the fuck off your phone and buy a PC.
well, coincidentally, Eternal has a very good mobile client, but we'll stay away from that right now.
Yeah, you almost got me to play the game until you said that bullshit.
Well, no, hey, it's on Steam. It runs perfectly fine on Steam, but and it's easier to play on PC. But I'm not gonna sit here and say that the mobile client isn't good. Like there
Well,
are uh like if I'm just, chilling out, not trying to do anything, then yeah, you know what? I'll kick back, I'll play I'll play a couple of rounds on my phone and it feels fine. Like now, if I'm trying to build a new deck or some shit, yeah, let me get on the computer so I can actually fucking read what the cards say.
yeah, yeah. Okay, I get that. But beyond that, fuck you, mobile gamers.
Yeah,
I can't.
sorry.
Oh my god, it's so irritating. People be like, "Oh, you're a gamer," but like, yeah, they'd be like, they'll ask me what I play. I'll tell them, and be like, "Oh, what about you?" Oh, usually playing like Candy Crush or something like that. And I'm like, bitch, why did you fucking say
Get the
that from the
fuck
start?
on.
Like, yeah, right. The only other people like I can't stand like Fortnite, but like my nieces and nephew love the game. Like I
Mm,
understand like kids and like wanting to. I just can't stand Fortnite. I think it's just so lame.
yeah, I'm not big on Fortnite myself.
So, yeah, but let's get what about you, man? What's some more like what's another 2020 experience that you had nerd-wise?
This is something I actually played fairly recently, but I had a really good time with it, and that is Spider-Man Miles Morales, which actually did come out this year. Um, but if you guys have played the Spider-Man game that came out on PS4, it's basically more of that. Um, as far or as as a character, Miles Morales compared to Peter Parker. Um, Gameplay wise, I should specify. He's a little bit less complicated. He's got a little bit more broken shit. But if you really enjoyed the first Spider-Man like I did, but thought I had a bit too much going on, um, Miles Morales is an improvement in that regard. Like one problem I had with the original or with Spider-Man or the PS4 Spider-Man is that there was just too much shit, too much shit and not of or it wasn't very fun. It was just, a lot of bullshit. They kind of cut a lot of that out for Miles Morales.
Huh. I have yet to had. I'm definitely gonna play the game because
Mhm.
Spider-Man all around is like beyond my favorite superhero. But I I like that Miles is getting a little bit more attention that he has
Yeah.
with like into Spideyverse, and there's obviously this new game because he's a character that deserves it. Um,
Hmm.
I personally have always been a Peter Parker fan, and always will be.
Hmm.
He's always Spider-Man to me, but Miles is like if Peter Parker had to go
Yeah.
and you wanted like Peter Parker to hand off the torch to somebody, like Miles is that guy. Like Miles is a very likable character, even in a lot of various aspects, comic book wise. He's even outshines Peter Parker himself. But
Hmm.
it's definitely a game I'm gonna be playing. I thoroughly enjoyed Spider-Man's game for the PS4. I thought it was fucking awesome. I
Yeah.
thought the fucking web slinging in it was just fucking addicting as hell. Like I find myself just web slinging in that game just for fun. You know what I mean? So.
Like I think it's adorable that the games have a fast travel system,
Mm.
and I
Yeah, I
never
know,
use it.
right?
That's like why. What that or I'm on the south end of the city and the next thing is all the way on the north end. Okay, I guess we're taking a field trip.
Well, hold up. I can actually defend that because even in the comic books, Miles does it too, but not as much as Peter. But Peter likes to feel like a regular guy.
Oh yeah.
Like he does that. He does do that in the comic book and even TV shows and shit like that. Like take a bus or train or what the fuck, because he likes to feel like a regular guy. You know what I mean? So I can defend that.
Oh yeah.
But I get what you're saying.
It's a convenience factor. Like I understand that's it. It's in the game just because that's it. Sometimes you just want to go to the next plot point or next mission or whatever. Um, and you're wrong, but like I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that it has a fast travel system or anything like that. That's it. It's a convenience factor, and if they didn't have that, I would actually probably feel the exact opposite way that they should have had a fast travel in there.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's in the game for people who want to use it. That's not me. All right.
Oh.
I want to sling some fucking webs.
Yeah, I get that. I'm with you. Well, without giving away any spoilers, how is the storyline in Miles One?
Uh, I would say a solid medium good.
Huh.
Um, like if you played, uh, or It's if you played the first Spider. How do I put this actually? Uh, it kind of feels like a movie actually, in the sense that okay, you know how the first Spider-Man movie or every Spider-Man movie that's come out it has been his origin story. You know, him dealing with or becoming Spider-Man.
Yeah,
That's what Miles Morales feels like, and one of the things that I actually personally enjoyed about the first Spider-Man game for the PS4 was that they kind of dispensed with all that shit. Like, they took Peter Parker; he's been Spider-Maning for a while. He's fully into the role, and
I thoroughly love that.
yeah, like I
You
really
know what I mean?
appreciated that.
Yeah, because we know the Spider-Man origin story. We get it.
Yeah,
We've heard it. You've crammed it down our throats for years. Like, come on, let's see Peter Parker at his best.
yeah, that's it, and that's one thing I definitely or appreciated is that's it. It's just sort of like, okay, it's Spider-Man, Uncle Ben, or bit by a spider, Uncle Ben, you fucking get it.
Yes,
Um,
great power comes great responsibility. We
mhm.
understand.
And Miles Morales is like he's been Spider-Maning for a bit at where when Miles Morales starts up. But he's still he's still getting his feet wet. He's still trying to get into it. Uh, if you saw Into the Spider-Verse, which great fucking movie by the way. Um, oh yeah, that's something I watched in
Yeah,
2020. Uh,
yeah, me too, actually.
yeah. Uh, it's still a little more, him feeling out, becoming a superhero. Uh, but it's not bad. Like
Yeah.
I have no
Oh,
complaints about it. There's no major plot holes or anything.
Miles is a great character. Like, I always think that he deserved more attention.
Mm,
He's not as like as like I want to say it like I don't. He's not as like as witty as
yeah.
Peter Parker is as Spider-Man. So I don't know. I've just always been loyal to like Peter or whatever. But like I said, I've never been bugged. Like let me put it this way.
Mm,
Like I've always been a huge Batman fan, right?
right.
And obviously Batman's got a lot of Robins. I've always been like a huge Red Hood fan.
Mm,
One thing they've done over the past like 10, 15 years is kind of like cram Damien down your throat. And
ah.
like I've come to like Damien,
Mm,
but at the same time, like at first, I just couldn't stand the fucking character. You know
mm,
what I mean? Like it was kind of like, here's the next thing, and they just kept like shoving it. I never felt like that with Miles. Like
okay.
in the comic books, and it's like some of the origin stories to Miles. Miles takes over as Spider-Man after Peter Parker dies,
Mm,
and like it was like one of the most emotional fucking shit I've ever seen in the comic books, and the way Miles like stood up and like honored Peter and like carried the torch, like I've always loved him as a character. Like he's just
okay.
a very likable character. He's got a great storyline. He's got heart. He does the right thing. So on, all the things you want in your superhero.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And like
Mm,
I remember when they were coming out, well, they were gonna do the Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man, and they
all
were
right.
trying to cast. Yeah, they were trying to cast who was going to play Spider-Man, and they thought of Donald Glover actually playing Miles, and everybody
Oh.
was giving him a bunch of hate. Yeah, and then everybody was giving him a bunch of hate, and I was trying to tell people online, like, I don't think they're necessarily trying to be racist per se. Well, obviously the racists were just being racist. Fuck
Yeah.
those fuckers.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think people were necessarily trying to. They just didn't understand. Like, yo, Miles isn't Peter Parker. Like, you need to pick up a comic book. Like, Miles is actually a dope ass story. I'd have loved Donald Glover as Miles Morales. I'd have thought that'd have been dope as fuck.
Mm. Oh,
No, but that's my opinion on. I look forward to playing Miles Morales on the PS4 though.
I think when it comes to Spider-Man, there's a little bit of pop culture inertia. Like I'll be completely honest. Until Into the Spider Verse and the PS or the Miles Morales game, I didn't know dick about Spider Man. And I think in the popular knowledge, all we think of when we think of Spider Man is Peter Parker. And if you try and give somebody a new Peter Parker, they're not going to be as into it as much. Like even Into the Spider Verse,
I get
we had to have Peter
it.
Parker in there, otherwise, it wouldn't have gone well, I don't think.
Yeah, I get it, dude. Ever since the '90s, and I watched that Spider-Man cartoon, I've just always been hugely into Spider-Man,
Mm,
like comic books, video game, like you name it, just
mm,
anything to do with. But like as of right now, dude, I have a little fucking bobblehead of Spider-Man looking at me,
eh.
and then right above my PC is a fucking color picture of Spider-Man. I think my girlfriend did for me.
Oh, nice.
On my wall to the left of me, there's a framed picture of a Spider-Man comic book. Like I love Spider-Man. Like that is he's my shit. Spider-Man and Batman, it's just been my shit ever since the '90s. And like that's the reason why I never really like attacked people when they were like when they talk about it. Like you just don't know, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like so I try to like teach people, but I like that in this past year in 2020 with Into the Spider Verse and the new video game that the Miles is getting the recognition that rightfully deserves.
Definitely. And I
Yeah.
say, like, my only experience with him is basically origin story stuff. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, like they're doing a good job. I'm not
Right.
about to say anything bad.
Well, though I do have the next thing I do
Mm,
want to talk about though is I've kind of got to get away from like video games a little bit. There is one thing that I've gotten into that's Nerdom this year is I've always been a huge like anime fan like my entire life, but not like nearly as big as you or like
mm,
other anime fans per se. Like it's always been like for the longest time, I don't know, DBZ, like Inuyasha, just like like there's just what do you call it? Last Airbender, so on and so forth.
oh yeah.
But I've recently this year just started. I know it hasn't come out this year, but I've started watching My Hero Academia, and I don't know, like I am fucking obsessed with this goddamn show. Like, dude, I literally like started that show just on a whim. Like I was like, I remember you brought it up in one of our earlier podcasts. I think we were talking about comic book characters and anime
Yeah.
characters,
Yeah.
and you were talking about Deku a little bit, and I was like, and I think like a month or two after that, I'm like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna give it a try. And like next thing I know, I just like completely binge watched that fucking show. Like I literally stopped playing video games. Like like I have two monitors, right? So a lot of times I like pop up like a podcast or something like that and grind some shit out and like fucking whatever game that I'm fucking playing. You know what I mean? But
Right.
like I found myself putting Hulu on my second monitor and trying to play a video game, and I just shut down the video game because it fucking like some folks just didn't know what's going on. I just recently started like I love those. I love the show so much, dude. That like after I finished the show,
Mm.
and like I was like, oh, do you know what? Let me rewatch it, like just to pick it up here and there. And the same fucking thing happened. Like next thing I know, I'm like two seasons through and shit.
Let us, if there is a mark of quality that can be, if there's a higher mark of quality than the gamer stops playing games to watch the show, I don't think there's higher praise than that.
No, I don't think so, dude. Like, I can't, dude. I can't think of any other shows that's really done that to me. Especially like when I started watching that show, dude, I was still really into Divinity too. Like it
Hmm.
was like the back end towards of it, but I was still that was the game that I was grinding out in and I was trying to watch at the same. I
Right.
couldn't play it. Like that game literally got me stopped playing. That was the in that game. That show rather got me completely stopping playing Divinity 2 until I finished that show.
My Hero Academia. It's good. Watch it.
It's fucking very good. I wish I'd have listened to you earlier and watched it earlier.
How many times have we done this in our time knowing us where I tell you a really good thing and you're like, meh, 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 and then you come back and you're like, dude, why didn't I do this earlier?
I don't know. Like this is probably like the 158th time.
Eh, eh, just saying, I know quality when I see it.
Yeah, give or take a couple dozen.
Hey, fuck you.
No, for real though, fucking My Hero Academia is a shit. Like if
Yeah.
anybody's listening and you've like not watched it and you enjoy anime, go fucking watch the show. It's just it's on par to be one of the best animes I've ever watched. I
Yeah.
don't want to like give it the necessarily number one slot just yet because obviously they're still coming out with episodes and development and shit. But damn, is it a good show.
Yeah. Uh, let's see. I guess on that topic, it's not one that I watched recently, but it's or not bleh, podcaster. Yes, words. Good. Uh, it's not one that it was a new experience for me, but it was one that I went back and watched. Uh, for the fun of it and because I really appreciate it, and that is, and this is gonna raise some eyebrows. It's called High School DxD, and
Um.
I watched. What was it? The first, or I rewatched. I think it's like 3 or 4 seasons,
Mhm.
yeah, including the one that recently came out, and it's just a good, fun, funny time.
Mhm.
And this is actually going to be one, Andrew, that I don't recommend to you.
Oh, why is that?
I don't think it would be your style of show. I'm a degenerate. Let's just put it that
Oh, you didn't. Now you're just trying to seem cool.
way. Okay. It is okay. Here, let me put it this way. It's basically a sex comedy.
Okay, that
It,
that what? It's a
uh,
sex comedy.
yeah.
Are you watching porn? Is this a porno that you're fucking referring
It
to?
it's not porn, but it may as well
You
be.
sure? Are
Yes.
you sure that the site that you watch it on doesn't end in hub.com?
Yes. It's on Crunchyroll. It's on
Uh-huh.
Funimation. So
Uh-huh.
it's legit. I swear.
Oh, sure, buddy.
It is. It is. It is on those streaming services, and
Hmm.
there is no acts of penetration, but there are boobs everywhere.
Neither was there on Cinemax, but that shit was basically still porn.
Yeah, true. But no, like this it's an anime. I mean, let's face it. Let's just get this out of the way. Japan is weird and likes big-titted girls, and I'm weird
No
and I
shit.
like big-titted girls. So we'll just go there.
I like titties.
Well, like okay, here. Uh, the the basis of High School DxD is uh, the protagonist Issei is a complete pervert. You know, he likes looking up girls' skirts. He's always got porn. He reads porn with his friends, which I don't know any straight guy who does that. But we'll leave that there. And it's a harem, so you know there's a or wide variety of anime women's who want to ride the D. Um, and as far as like a harem and fan service show, I actually really appreciate an aspect of it. One, it's not okay, like how in a lot of harem anime that they put something sexy on the screen and it's because the protagonist stumbled and decided to grope a tit or and groped a tit on the way down or anything like that.
Hmm.
In this, the women are just as complicit in, wanting to be fan servicey as Issei or as the audience. Like, it's not just okay, guy trips over and pulls off all of a girl's clothes. Like, there's a scene where the main character Issei has gone through something rather traumatic, and the way the girls in his harem comfort him is they all sleep in the same bed with him nude and nothing sexy goes on or whatnot. It's literally, we feel bad for you and you like it when we're naked, so we're going to do this for you.
That sounds like the ultimate tease.
Little bit, but I mean, let's face it, they're all trying to like, I don't know why none of the hopping on the dick has happened yet. Just be completely honest, but it's a good show. It's a good, and it's at like, for as much nudity that's in it, it's actually a fairly wholesome show too. Like, that's it, power of friendship, love, so on and so forth. Like, whatever your opinion on girls and or whatever your opinion on anime girls and continuing states of undress is, it is still a good show if you can get past that. It just happens to be also really funny and has a lot of boobs bouncing around. All right, I'm a degenerate.
I don't think that's a degenerate. I think that's the word you're looking for is pervert.
Well, this is true. Like,
Dude, ain't nobody like a big pair of titties better than me, but I'm out trying to watch anime with just a bunch of titties bopping around.
well, no,
I'd
that's
rather just see the real thing.
it's not just a bunch of titties. It's an actual good show. Issei goes through character development. There's pretty decent action scenes and whatnot. There's a decent power system that goes on. Like, it's so much more than just, big anime titties, but it also has a lot of big anime titties.
I can only imagine how the action scenes happen in
Uh,
that.
it's what you would expect, but like,
Yes.
Issei even has some like he has Super Saiyan moments. I'll just put it that way, as far as narrative
Oh my god.
intensity.
I'm sorry, Host.
Yeah, just anyway. Look, Andrew,
Yeah.
what else have you done in 2020?
There is there's at least two other things I would like to talk about. One thing that is to be really quick to whatever to knock out of the way is I did get a VR set.
Oh,
I got
really?
the Oculus. Yeah, I got the Oculus, and I tried Half-Life Elix.
Mm,
Um, that it's one of the most fucking craziest experiences I've ever had in my entire life when it
mm,
comes to gaming. Like it is utterly, dude. It messed with my senses so much I had to end up returning the Oculus, and I might end up re-getting it here in the future sometime. But
mm,
like, holy fuck! Like I've never experienced anything like it before in my life, dude. Like it's like you're almost like you're actually there. Like
mm,
the way I try to I think like I think that it's definitely like the future of gaming. I think before me and you, like say if we live like decent lives, we get to like 60 or 70, we're
mm,
gonna see some like Ready Player One type shit.
mm.
Like that I'm 100% convinced, especially after trying the act. I'm 100% convinced of that. Like that
Really?
is definitely like yeah, like I view it as like how the PlayStation 1 was when it comes to like the gaming industry. Like
Mm,
you knew that like wherever this is going, it's gonna be like fucking huge. That's the way I took away after playing Half-Life. Like it was
really?
fucking insane. Yeah, it's like you're actually there. They had this cool mechanic into it where the character, the protagonist, Alex,
Mm,
she wears these gloves, and what it is like magnetic gloves that pretty much like uses the force. Like you just grab
okay.
onto something, yank it
Right.
towards you, you can grab it. But it's like so realistic and like the movement and like the gunfighting and like it was fucking crazy. I
Mm.
actually felt like I was like fucking fighting zombies and shit like that.
Oh, wow.
Like I was like standing like my girlfriend's even watched me and I'm like standing in the room and I'm like fucking going over everywhere. I'm like ducking and shit. Like it's really fucking dope. Yeah, I think that's like definitely the future. Like I just wanted to give it Half Life came out this year. I just wanted to give it a quick shout out because it was a dope ass game. They
Mm,
deserve some recognition on that shit.
yeah.
But another thing I did want to talk about is not a game that I played, but a game I intend to play that came out in 2020,
All
and I
right.
want to know if you heard of it. Hades.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yes, have you played it?
I haven't played it, but yeah, super. It looks fun, and if the next time I want to play a roguelike, I probably will pick it up. Um,
Oh,
but yeah, I've heard of Hades. I've actually watched speedruns of it just, out of curiosity, and it does look really fun. It does look really well made.
mm.
And yeah, like next time I feel like I want to play a roguelike, I will probably pick that up.
Well, I intend to play Source Code before I play Hades, but
Ah,
Hades is right there.
what
I feel
source
like if I
code?
don't play Source Code at some point in time, you're just gonna have an aneurysm.
What source code?
You know the game.
Source code?
Am I saying the name wrong? What the fuck is that game you
Oh,
keep trying to convince
crosscode.
me? Crosscode. There you go.
Yes, play
Source Code.
crosscode.
Yes, crosscode. That my bad.
Yeah, that's something I should go back and replay because that's it. It's an amazing game. And it's one of those games that you can tell a lot of care and a lot of work and a lot of effort was put into it, and as a result, that's it. It's just a wonderful game.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I fully intend to play the game. Like it's right there. Like Hades got like just the reviews on it are just nonstop fucking positive. Like it's
right.
just like positivity, positivity. But like, of course, you've been mentioning Crosscode to me for like the longest time, so I feel like I need to fucking play that game before I play anything else like it.
Hmm. Yeah,
You know what I mean? So,
that's it. Definitely take a look at it. Well, that's it. Play crosscode. That's all I have to say.
well, I like it when those kind of like I don't want to necessarily say like small like gaming developers or whatever, but
Mm,
I like it when those like the games like that do become like because a lot of like a, a lot of these like big companies like Ubisoft or fucking or EA or what the fuck ever.
mm.
Obviously they get a lot of attention, but they're not the only ones doing good things out there in gaming. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that's a whole future podcast episode. Why EA,
Most
why
likely.
Ubisoft, and all them are absolute fucking garbage and should die. But anyway,
I
although
don't know about if you want to take it to that extent, but yeah, sure.
it's funny because I guess it will end up being the last game that I play in 2020. Um, but there's a game I've been playing recently.
Hmm.
It's called or it recently released. It was one of the PS5 launch titles. It's called Immortals: Phoenix Rising.
I know of it.
And a lot of comparisons to Breath of the Wild have been brought up when it comes to the game, and I would like to point out that those comparisons are completely true and entirely well founded. Um, but it manages to differentiate itself from Breath of the Wild significantly enough.
Uh-huh.
Like, yes, you have a stamina system. Yes, you have a glider. Yes, you can climb basically fucking everything that isn't a dungeon. Um, there are little mini dungeons that are scattered about. You can, as far as I haven't tried it yet, but you can kind of tackle the game in any order. You know, you can do everything. I don't think you can just run to the final boss, but I'm not that far into it. But it's a good game. It's a good little time waster. Um, I fully intend on playing it through to completion. But like I do wonder. The reason I brought this up is kind of more or future speculation. Uh, Breath of the Wild was an amazing game. It was a tremendous game. There's no two ways about that. I do wonder if we're going to start seeing more games like it, kind of like how we got with Dark Souls.
Uh-huh.
Like a thing was done, a thing within the industry was done, and Breath of the Wild, yes, it's got its flaws. Durability system, unconvincing cough. Um, but it really was. It's. I kind of feel like it was a milestone in open world games, and I do wonder if we're going to start seeing more games like that.
Hmm. Um, Most likely, like anytime a big game comes out like that, that has kind of like new and it's got
Hmm.
its own original feel to it. It becomes big enough. There's gonna be fucking copycats out there. Like
Yeah.
that's just, I mean, Souls like has become its own fucking genre entirely. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could literally go on Steam right now and watch,
Hmm.
and it'll give you an entire list just made out of Souls-like games. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's one of the games that's actually been on my radar. Is Immortal Phoenix Rising. It looks pretty fun. Like, it definitely does look like it has that Breath of the Wild inspiration to it. The
Hmm.
combat does look a little bit different. But it's something I do intend on playing in the future. But like, time is not limitless, etc.,
Right.
etc.
And
Yeah.
since you mentioned it, I would like to point out that the combat is actually, it, I would say it's actually better than Breath of the Wild. Or
Oh, don't you fucking start.
no, okay, it's. Oh God, I might have stepped on. Okay, here, allow me to. Okay, Breath of the Wild is good in its simplicity, and this is a personal preference thing, more than likely. Like, um, But the nice thing about Phoenix Rising is you can do things like, you have custom combos you can do, you have special moves you can do, you have character builds that you can do. There's more variety without losing kind of the core, simplicity, and your weapons don't break.
I've always kind of liked that aspect of Breath of the Wild. You know what I mean? Like it. I don't know. It's kind of hard to. It's refreshing. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, how many fucking people play RPGs or whatever, and then you get your hand out of like one sword that you really like, and you pretty much just use that as your main throughout the entire fucking game. Breath of the Wild's more of like, nah, buddy, you better be good with multiple weapons. Like, cause you're not gonna have that sword. I mean, the only sword that lasts in it is the Master Sword, but that still has to recharge.
Yeah.
You know what I
Uh,
mean? So I'm always kind of like that. I don't know. It's one actually. Now that I think about it, it's one of those aspects that, like, at first it kind of bothered me, but then I grew to like it.
I'm actually the
So
same way with that. Like it works in Breath of the Wild. Like that's I guess kind of my main thing is that for Breath of the Wild, that system is a good system, and I still have issues with it. Like if the weapons lasted twice as long, um, I would be a lot more okay with it than say uh, the way it is now, where you basically or you get maybe 2 to 3 enemies per weapon, and I think that's just way too low.
Right.
And
Um, there's a. Go ahead.
oh, uh, but yeah, like um, Immortals, Phoenix Rising, and I'm just gonna call it Phoenix Rising because fuck the whole title. Too much mouth or too much of a mouthful. But in Phoenix Rising, um, it's it's less exploration focused and more combat focused, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me
Um.
wrong, one of my favorite things about Breath of the Wild was picking a direction and fucking meandering off. But uh, I like that the combat is a little bit more in depth. I can do some Devil May Cry shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
There
yeah.
was actually there's actually a game that I kind of played that was like inspired a little bit by Breath of the Wild. Well, you kind of in a way the free to play game Genshin Impact.
Oh yeah. Which I still haven't
Yeah.
tried that, but I should.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's not a game that really like it sucked me. It hasn't really like sucked me in like Breath of the Wild or anything,
Mm,
any other like big name title that I love. But at the same time, it's still fun. Like you could
okay.
tell it's like it's definitely beautiful. Like it's just like that I don't know, that anime style that like kind of like Breath of the Wild has,
Okay.
like the that beauty that I had into it. Genshin Impact has that, and it's got a fun combat style. The combat's definitely different than the Breath of the Wild, though. It's like completely different. It's basically like the entire thing is built on like elements,
Okay.
and like one character being like a fire element, and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
And it lets you switch character. Like you have a party, of, like I think it's four, and
Right.
it lets you switch characters really easily. So like,
Okay.
say if an enemy walks up and like I attack it with my fire character and
Hmm.
he's on fire, I could easily switch to my fucking wind character and create a fucking fire vortex on that enemy. You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
like yeah, so it's like mixing in the elements and like switching characters is really fluid. So it has that fun aspect to it. The storyline's so for me, but like I
Hmm.
said, it's a fun game, but it's not something that's really like sucked me into. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. I just wanted to give it like a little shout out to it because it's a game that has come out this year since we're on 2020. This hellish fucking year.
Yeah. This is it's we are living through a historic time.
Yeah, definitely, dude. I still can't believe how fucking difficult it is for me to get my hands on a PS5. It's insane.
Well, there's
Dude, like,
always gonna.
yeah, like it is. I just, I couldn't. I wasn't even I wasn't planning on getting the PS5 when the fucking thing was gonna come out.
All
I
right.
usually wait around about 6 months
All
to
right.
get you know what I mean? Like the fucking, but I heard they were coming out with Demon Souls for it, and I was like, fuck you, take my money.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna get the PS5. You know what I mean? So
Uh,
they do like the restocks on Walmart, where apparently they got all these bots that are fucking buying them up like crazy, and you
yeah.
can't even like as soon as the restock on Walmart or whatever Walmart, Best Buy, whatever have you, as soon as you get on there and you're like clicking on the next thing to try to like get to your cart, it's already gone. Like
Yeah.
literally seconds, not even seconds, like milliseconds. Fucking PS5s are gone.
Scalpers.
Yes. Those fucking cocksuckers. I hope they burn in hell. And then I thought I was gonna be slick and go out on Black Friday, but go out really fucking early and get in line to fucking get a PS5. You know what I mean? And I thought I was actually gonna have a yeah. I thought I was being smart. Like yeah, I was like I actually got a good shot. The way I looked at it
uh,
is that I read online that GameStop, right, was
right.
restocking. This is the exact fucking quotes. They're restocking the PS5s across all of their locations. So I'm like, okay, if they even get like, what's a low end number for you for restocking? Just out of curiosity, what would be a low end number for you?
Let's say 5, 10.
Okay, that's basically what I thought. I thought more of like 10 to 15. You know
Okay.
what I mean? So in my mind, as long as I'm like the fifth person in line or some shit like that, I got it right.
Hmm.
So I go up to fucking GameStop early as fuck. I mean, like 4 o'clock in the morning, fucking early. Get
Oh
in
Lord.
line. There's only like 10 people ahead of me, right?
Uh huh.
So in my mind, I'm like, even if 8 of those people are buying fucking PS5s out of 10, which is unlikely because a lot of people I was talking to, they were in there to buy Switches for their fucking kids, so on.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I got this, right? I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, I felt pretty good about it. So I sit out there for like an hour or two. A fucking GameStop guy comes out and he's like he's talking to random people who comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, what are you planning on getting?" I was like,
Hmm.
PS5. And he's like, "Oh, yeah." He's like, "We only get two on the restock, and the first two people online are getting them." I'm like, "What?" I'm like,
Excuse
"How
you?
you gonna?" Yeah, I'm like, "How you gonna put on your fucking website that you're restocking when you're getting two? Two is not a fucking restock. That's a gift." It's like that is not a fucking restock, dude. But yeah,
Oh
that
Lord.
was my experience, and since then, I've just stopped trying. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm just fucking wait. I don't care anymore.
Fuck it. Wait till 2021. Give it
Yes.
to there the end of the year, and let's face it, the first run consoles are always the worst. Just give it some
Yeah.
time, wait for the price to come down. And it's not like there are any fucking games out for it really, other than Demon Souls, which for you, I understand. Yes, that is the fucking game to get for it. But I
Yes.
said just give it some time to bloom, some time to breathe.
Oh, I will. I mean, they just still got so many titles coming out for that game. I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn 2, Final Fantasy 16,
Hmm.
Demon Souls, obviously. Like, I'm just like, oh,
Oh yeah.
just give me.
That's it. I'm gonna worry about that shit when it starts actually getting close to coming out. Till then, well, I got card games and I have big anime or big titty anime women.
Yes, and just give me a release date for Elden Ring already. Stop fucking with my emotions.
Elden Ring when?
But yes, you got anything last for 2020 that you want to wrap up on besides what shit year it's been?
Uh, well, okay. Well, since I would like to end things on a bright point. I have been playing Dead by Daylight. We've talked about that. Frankly, there's not a lot to talk about, but I just want to or the reason I've been playing Dead by Daylight is because I met a very wonderful woman that I love very much, and yeah, there's my pump.
Oh, okay. You just wanted to mention Dead by Daylight so you get some nice points with her,
Yep.
huh? At least
If
you're
you're
honest.
listening to this, honey, this is for you.
Yes.
Fuck it, it's our
Well,
podcast. I can do what I want.
yeah, I guess so. I'm not gonna acknowledge it though.
Mm, that's
No, I'm
fair.
just playing. Hey man, to each their own. I'm just fucking with you. I hope we really hope that everybody's being safe out there and like we know understand that this year's been crazy and let's hope 2021 will be even better. John tried to talk it saying that maybe 2020 is just a trailer, which he actually might be right. So
Let's hope I'm
he thought
wrong.
2020 was bad.
Very rarely do I say the words, I hope I'm not right. I want
Uh-huh.
to not be right. Please, 2021, make me wrong.
Yes, we hope so. Um, well, like I said, I hope everybody's being safe out there. Make sure you drop a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Drop a comment. Like we have no problem arguing with other people that we do not know.
Oh, yep.
John, you got something you want to usually say at this time?
Yep. Be kind to one another.